Hi, my name is Alec Cook, and this poster is titled Youth-Centered Practice, a Toolkit for Service Providers from Minds of London Middlesex. What is Youth-Centered Practice? The Youth-Centered Practice YCP project is a youth-led intervention from the Mental Health Incubator for Disruptive Solutions at Minds, which aims to bridge the gaps in relationships between youth and the mental health care professionals who serve them. The project's goal is to translate the tacit knowledge of experienced mental health care providers for the purpose of developing an operationalized definition of what constitutes a YCP in mental health care, and further utilizing this information to create and pilot training for service providers on being youth-centered. Within the existing literature, youth-centered practice is defined as care in which the youth is actively involved in which youth play a role in any decision made about their care. To better understand what it means for a service provider to be youth-centered, Minds interviewed service providers in London Middlesex. Participants were previously identified by members of the Minds team as already practicing youth-centeredness. 14 mental health care professionals, 8 service providers, and 6 senior students from Fanshawe College's Child and Youth Care program were interviewed. Participants were asked questions relating to how they practice being youth-centered and what steps they undertook to become youth-centered. A qualitative synthesis was produced from these interviews, and 5 themes and 14 subthemes were identified. YCP methodology. Youth Participatory Action Research. YCP was created and developed utilizing Youth Participatory Action Research, YPAR. YPAR as a framework is focused on engaging both youth and adults within a community to work alongside one another in a non-hierarchical format, creating and encouraging change in current system structures that provide benefit to the entire community. As a Minds of London Middlesex intervention, YCP uses YPAR to engage youth in a meaningful and impactful manner. A youth-led intervention, youth act as co-researchers and are involved with leading all the components of the research process, from describing the issue to developing and testing the efficacy and impact of YCP. Appreciative inquiry focuses on the ways in which people interact with their social world and how those interactions sustain the relationships which they engage in. In interviews conducted by members of the Minds of London Middlesex team, an appreciative inquiry approach was used to ask youth and their families about their experiences interacting with the mental health care system in London Middlesex and about positive and negative contributors to youth mental health. The appreciative inquiry approach revealed 2 key findings: that youth and their caregivers reported feeling that some healthcare professionals were disingenuous and felt that their voices were not being heard by all members of their care team, and that child and youth care workers, CYCs, were identified as being allies to the youth in their journey through the mental health care system. Youth reported their relationship with the CYCs as contributing positively to their mental health. From these findings, it was concluded that both youth and their families preferred a whole person or youth-centered approach when interacting with service providers. The qualitative synthesis. Themes of youth-centered practice: relationships, humanity/individualized, trust, accessibility, recognizing and removing barriers, physical space, collaborative, youth engagement in care planning, sharing power, and choice/facilitating agency. Training, self-reflection, setting boundaries, proper communication. And finally, importance of YCP, youth-centered practice as a teachable concept, prioritizing the youth. The YCP toolkit. Youth-centeredness currently exists as tacit knowledge that only some service providers can access in the current child and youth mental health care system. The Youth-Centered Practice Project seeks to improve mental health outcomes for youth by training service providers in youth-centeredness, thereby enabling them to form meaningful and supportive relationships with the youth that they serve. Minds has developed a youth-centered practice toolkit that will deliver a curriculum derived from the themes of YCP explored in the qualitative synthesis. The toolkit is 5 chapters of text-based and interactive learning, which includes video entries from youth discussing their experiences in the mental health care system. Minds is currently testing the toolkit prototype with staff of a local mental health service which serves transition-age youth. The toolkit will be available for use in early 2022. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. And thank you to all our sponsors.